I understand how important experience is. My ultimate goal is to get to the NFL. Those were the words of one former quarterback from Auburn University, Walker White. We'll talk about it coming up next. Let's go.
Going live.
With the coolest podcast.
The Water Cooler Talk Podcast. The coolest podcast.
In your ear.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, thank y'all so much for rocking with us here on this Friday night, January 10th. Is it the 10th? It is January 10th, Friday. Around the water cooler, man. We appreciate y'all so much for rocking with us here, man. We know the Ohio State-Texas game is going on right now, man, and we keeping an eye on that. But, you know, I'm here every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we talking Auburn tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I got my guys in here with me. The one, the only, and in the words of DC Wolf, the most famous man you never heard of, the mayor, Marcus Fitzpatrick. How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. How you?
I'm here, man. I'm here. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the fan favorite himself. He's back around the water cooler.
What's happening, man?
Building, man. How you feeling, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Let's go ahead before we get into it. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us here on tonight, man. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Water Cooler Talk. Follow us on Twitter at CoolestPod23 as well, man. Follow us on Facebook at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast. And of course, here on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share this video using the hashtag WCTPod and hit the notification bell so you know when we post more videos and go live. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on our way to 600. So we asked and we pray and we thank you so much for continuing to be a part of the Water Cooler Talk Podcast family, man. So keep telling your friends. Let them know. Share the video. Hit subscribe. Hit the share button. Hit the notification bell so you know when we post. Ladies and gentlemen, we are around the water cooler tonight. And one former quarterback by the name of Mr. Walker White, who I am very fond of, who I was very, very fond of Walker White. Thought he would be the next very Tim Tebow-esque at Auburn. Decided to hit the transfer portal, which was kind of surprising to a lot of people. And yesterday he did an interview with Mr. Cam Stuart over at Locked On Baylor. And it was titled Why I Left Auburn. That's what it said in the thumbnail. Why I Left Auburn. A very interesting conversation, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hit on that tonight. We're going to hit on some of the points, man. It was about a 34-minute interview. I thought it was a pretty good interview, pretty interesting. But I think a lot of guys on this panel may feel different than I do. And we're going to get into it tonight, man. So, you saw the videos, fellas. Oh, shout out to everybody in the chat. My bad. I forgot to say shout out to everybody. Shout out to Huggy.
What's up?
Shout out to all y'all in the chat, man. We appreciate y'all so much, man. So, man, you all watched the video. You saw the interview. Let's just get your overall take from one Mr. Walker White on yesterday. And I want to start with Marcus because Marcus made some comments before we went live that had me interested to hear what he had to say. Marcus, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, I'm gonna start off with the truth. The truth is that Hugh Freeze basically told him if you wasn't starting by year 2, you weren't gonna ever be a starter. And then he went out and he paid Jackson Arnold like a starter. But it tucked his tail, and he seen that. All right, maybe it was best for me to move on. And he felt he was hurt. He don't want to admit he was hurt. He said he took Hugh and the quarterback coaches on the way out the door. I can tell he was hurt, but I didn't really care about him talking about he gonna beat us and all that other success at Baylor. Nobody give a care because we're gonna beat the brakes off Baylor this year and in the following year. But I can tell he was hurt. He was promised a position. I kind of didn't like how he was like, I wasn't worried about Deuce Knight. It was like me and him would be good friends. Like that competition wouldn't affect him. But outside of that, I feel like he was hurt. He thought he was gonna be a starting quarterback at Auburn by his second year. And they went out and paid a quarterback like a starter, and he knew it was the writing was on the wall, so he was hurt.
Okay. All right. Tez, what's your thoughts, man?
Kind of like Marcus said, he was hurt. I'm getting a little feedback. He lied. Marcus, you said you mentioned one of the lies. One of the lies was Deuce Knight was not a factor in that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's an absolute lie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that you're not running from competition. Yet, as soon as they sign another quarterback with 2 years left, you go to another team to sit on the bench, right? Had you went to a team where you were going to be the guy, then I would believe you. But you went to a team essentially to go sit on the bench again, right? There's a lot of things in that, a lot of things he said in there that I kind of focus on. One, Hugh Freeze was honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is like a breath of fresh air. I believe 100% that. Like, he went in there, Hugh Freeze told him, told him his dad, if you're not the guy by year 2, you're probably never gonna be the guy, right? That gives me insight on the recruiting pitch. I always wondered, like, man, why do some of these kids stick around for this? And we're not winning games, right? And it's probably because the coach is honest in this recruiting pitch. I don't know. Walker White and the guy is a guy who, like Nick said, I was high on. I thought that he would, like I said, I wanted Walker White to come into next year being the starting quarterback. It would prove to me that the development process was working. You had a quarterback that spent a year on the bench, and he's essentially getting ready to be the starter. He should be the front runner in the spring. He should know the system better than anybody, right? Mm-hmm. By him transferring, a lot of things that he said let me know that, for one, he wasn't picking it up as fast. We saw that because he wasn't the first choice off the bench when it came time to go to a second string quarterback. They went with Hank Brown first, and then they turn around and later in the season they go with Walker White. So we had the conversation before about development. He mentioned that he wanted to be better developed, but he mentioned that he was going to a program where the quarterback development program or whatever was in place. And I've said that all that means is your path to play. He feels like it's easier for him to get on the field at Baylor than it will be at Auburn. And that's because he's sandwiched in between Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight. It also gives me a lot of hope for Jackson Arnold. That means that another quarterback in the quarterback room thinks that this guy is great, right? Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, he's kind of the reason that Dylan Gabriel is at Oregon. Kind of the same thing happened. They signed this guy, the other quarterback said, no, I don't want to be here no more, right?
True.
Same thing happens at Auburn. You see that history repeating itself. Jackson Arnold gets signed, 2 years of eligibility. Walker White says, I don't want to compete with this guy. So it's a little bit more in there, but those are just kind of like my initial thoughts on
it. Okay. All right. Well, I have a very different opinion on this. I feel like two things can be true at the same time. I feel like on the surface level, you see certain things and it can be true. Now, question was asked, what went into the decision to leave the Plains? He said there was a lot of false accusations of going out. He said he was not afraid to compete, which I actually believe. He said you could ask anybody at Auburn, and that was the furthest things from the truth. He said he knows the important. He said he knows how important experience is. The ultimate goal is to get to the NFL. Knows he needs to get on the field to get experience and get film. He also said when Jackson Arnold was brought in, who has multiple years left, it was alarming to him. These are words from Walker White. He said Coach Hugh Freeze, him and his dad had a conversation, and Coach Hugh Freeze said that he asked Coach Hugh Freeze the timeline of when he would be the guy. Coach Hugh Freeze said if he wasn't the guy by year 2, then he wouldn't be the guy unless it was due to injury or some other circumstances. And he said with Auburn bringing in Jackson Arnold with multiple years left and being paid starter money, Walker stated that communicated everything he needed to know to him. That's what he said. Though these are the words from Walker White. He said he also stated that he was fine with going to a lower level competition school and possibly being the guy there and working his way back up. And that Baylor was one of the top 3 schools in coming out of high school for him as well. I feel like two things could be true at the same time.
Okay.
Yes. Walker White left because Walker White wanted to eat the easiest path to the field to play. And yes, Hugh Freeze brought in Jackson Arnold because he felt that he needed a more veteran, experienced quarterback to run this offense because of the circumstances that's around him right now for going into this season. I understand where y'all coming from. I completely see exactly where y'all coming from. But if this season had gone way different than what this season had gone, I wholeheartedly believe that Coach Hugh Freeze would have had more leeway with actually putting Walker White on the field this season and letting him get his growing pains. But because of the product that was put on the field in year 1 and year 2, you're now in a situation to where you have to perform in order for you to have a year 4 at Auburn, presumably. So now what do? You look at this. What do we know about Coach Hugh Freeze? He values experience.
True.
What was told to us, as you said it, what was told to us in the spring last year? Holden Garner was the best guy in the room.
It's true.
But for some reason, Peyton Thorne was named the starter. Why? Because he wanted to take the pressure off of Peyton Thorne from not having to press so much. And Peyton Thorne was the most experienced guy in the room. So, because of all of the drama, I don't even want to say drama. I just want to say all of the convoluted stuff that's going on around the Auburn staff right now. I feel like that there is, and you might not see it, there may be some type of internal pressure for him to win this season. And then in that number that we all think that it might be, maybe even higher than that. It may not be just 6-7 games. It might be 9 games. It might be 10. It might be there might be pressure behind the scenes saying, look, we need you to be in the conversation this year.
Okay.
There may be pressure that as much as people want to say this is a long-term investment. We're looking for the long term. As much as a lot of people say that, I don't think people think. I think the long term was maybe 3 years, and this is year 3. So now we want to see something changing right now. So he went out and got the best option, the most surefire option that he could in the portal of somebody that was proven. It has nothing. I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think it has anything to do with Walker White not picking up the offense as quick as possible. I don't think it has anything. I think it has everything to do with him potentially having to win and show something this season on the field. And show why are we giving you this much leeway and this much, grace when these past two seasons they've been losing seasons. We didn't bring you in to do this. You said this. You said you turn it. You said you turn it around. You said you develop. We haven't seen it. So what are you going to do?
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think that's all a part of it because essentially they pay him to come in to be the starter. So the writing was on the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
The writing was
I
on the wall.
mean, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I do put the onus on Walker White though. Right. I think it does have I think it does have to do with, I'm not gonna say maybe he didn't pick up the system fully, but I think it does have to do with his ability to pick up the system and the ability to perform as a quarterback at Auburn University. Because if he was good enough, there's no need to get Jackson White. I mean, Jackson Arnold, not Jackson White. I mixed them together. Jackson Arnold. Like all those things can be true that you said about him facing pressure that we don't know about. But if he felt like Walker White was the quarterback that could get him out of that pressure, he wouldn't have went to transfer portal and got a guy with 2 years left. You see what I'm saying? I look at it a lot. When I look at this situation, I think about Florida.
Okay.
Right? I think about a freshman quarterback that they had on the bench that obviously was flashing in practice to the point where he was the second option. Right? You got to think about it. Last year, the second option was Hank Brown. And we all know Hank Brown wasn't ready to go in there and play football. Right? We know that. Yet you trusted him over this person who essentially was brought here to galvanize this class. You brought him in with these receivers. That told me a lot. Right? That told me a lot about that. Like your decision of who is your second string quarterback at this time. And then just to hear him out of his mouth say that Hugh Freeze told me and my dad, if you're not the guy by year 2, then you're probably never going to be the guy. Like this decision tells me that he felt like he wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
Like despite who they went and got, despite how much money they paid him, he felt as if he wasn't the guy. There was not any signs that he was the guy. Had they handled this like they did Florida, like Florida did with DJ Lagway, then I guarantee you he doesn't feel like he's not the guy.
I'm gonna ask you
because
this question.
he isn't.
I'm gonna ask you this question based off of that. Because the second part of that, the first 11 minutes of that interview was really what you want to go watch in that locker room interview. Watch. He was asked about Deuce Knight, and y'all alluded to it earlier. He was asked, did Deuce Knight have any effect on your decision leaving Auburn? Paraphrasing what Walker White said. He said,
he turned
the decision to leave Auburn, Deuce was not a factor. That's what he said. He said Deuce Knight was not a factor. It did not confirm or increase his decision. It was based solely on who Auburn brought in, which he's talking about Jackson Arnold. That's what he said. Those are the words that Walker White said. It was based solely on Jackson Arnold, who Auburn brought in. So, if you look at this, right? If you recruited me, I ask you this question. This is a 2-part question. If you recruited me to be the guy, right? You want they're gonna kind of go hand in hand. You recruited me to be the guy.
Right.
You want me to come in and pick up the offense, correct?
Right.
All right. In my red shirt freshman year, which would have been this year at Auburn, you want me to come in and be the starter after the season that just happened. All right, let's take the internal pressures out. Let's just say there aren't any. Let's say there aren't any internal pressures, pressures, even though there more than likely is. Are you comfortable with Walker White being the guy right now, winning you at least 7 games to get bowl? I mean, 6 games to get bowl eligible, possibly winning 7 next year. And the second part to that question, based on what you just said, Tez, does Deuce Knight leave after next year? Because here's the thing, because Auburn is going out and they're looking at trying to sign the kid from Jackson, who's a 4-star quarterback. They also just offered another 5-star quarterback as well in this 2026 class. So is that same pressure on Deuce Knight next year? Do you think that Coach Hugh Freeze said the exact same thing to Deuce Knight? If you're not the guy by year 2, you probably won't be the guy, knowing that you had Walker White in that room and not expecting him to leave. Are we saying this same thing next year about Deuce Knight if he decides to enter the portal?
I'm saying that yes. I'm saying that this is the state of this is what happens when you can recruit quarterbacks like this. When your quarterback room becomes what it is, right? We ain't really used to this. The Deuce Knight situation, like I've said, I want to see Deuce Knight, just kind of like I was saying about Walker White. I want to see Deuce Knight. He's going into the spring, right? It's him and Jackson Arnold will be there, right?
It would be Deuce Knight, Jackson Arnold, and Tanner Bailey.
Right. So going into the spring, I need, with Deuce Knight being the only other quarterback splitting reps with Jackson Arnold, and then you got Tanner Bailey. He's coming in to probably just run scout team right now anyway. With you splitting,
to be honest with you, Tanner Bailey was a 4-star coming out of high school.
True, but he hadn't played football in a year.
He hadn't played in a year. He hadn't played in a year. That's true.
So like I'm realistically looking at a battle between you and Jackson Arnold. With y'all getting the bulk of the reps, I fully expect Deuce Knight to be our second string quarterback going into the fall. That will tell me something if Ashton Daniels comes in here and takes that spot away from him and becomes the second string quarterback.
I'm gonna interject right here. Walker White didn't have that same luxury.
That's true.
Walker White didn't have that same luxury.
That's true.
Hank Brown was here. Hank Brown was here the summer before. Holden Garner had been here, and Peyton Thorne had been here. So are we expecting after his first year Walker White to actually be that guy? Because we all can sit here and say that we were not expecting Hank Brown to play this year. The guy that was supposed to be the guy, the competition this season was supposed to be between Hank Brown and Walker White, if we're just being honest.
I think this is just the territory we in. You got to think about it. Like I said, Jackson Arnold is here, right? Jackson Arnold came from Oklahoma. When he got there, Dylan Gabriel left and went to Oregon. Right now, he's in the transfer portal because they have another freshman. Right?
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah.
This is the nature of the business when you start recruiting elite talent like this.
Agree with you wholeheartedly.
And as much as I hate it, because I know I want to see Walker White. We all want to see Deuce Knight, but like it's about, can you win right now? And you also have a coach who got crucified for not getting a quarterback in the transfer portal.
Very true. Which is why you see a Jackson Arnold-esque move this past portal season that early.
But
so if that was the case, it just doomed whatever it doomed whatever he said to Walker White in the recruiting process. It just doomed everything.
But
because
Walker White
earlier though, go ahead.
I said going back to what you said though earlier though, for the season that he has to have next year, Jackson Arnold has to go crazy. Because I feel like he gotta at least be. It's a minimum of 8 games. Realistically, he gotta win at least 8. I think 9, but at least 8 to keep his job. So Jackson Arnold has to put up numbers next year for Hugh Freeze to keep his job. Meaning they paid him to be the starter. Meaning if he puts up the numbers, he's gonna be the starter again the following year. Because I don't think he's going anywhere.
That's debatable. It's debatable.
If one of the things,
I think we'll have to be a playoff team for him to leave next year.
I feel this way. I feel like if Jackson Arnold comes in, me and Bubba had I think we agreed on this from yesterday's show. If he comes in and does over what we think he does, and because I think
that's
me and Bubba, that's 9 wins. We think it's probably 9 wins. If he comes in, because me and Bubba have somewhere between 3,200 and 3,400 yards, 27, 28 touchdowns, 7 to 10 interceptions, about 64% completion. We think that gets him 9 wins. Right. If he comes in and does 3,900 yards, almost 4,000 yards, 34, 36 touchdowns, 8 picks, and he's 65, 66% completion, I think you can literally sit here and say that Jackson Arnold may consider leaving, going to the NFL. He may be considered one of the top guys coming out.
So Nick, that was about to be my point.
Yeah.
His comments, that Walker White's comments, and I hate to say this, but Walker White's comments sound more like he doesn't believe in the system.
I was going to go to
he doesn't believe.
Exactly.
It seems as if he's saying,
Yep.
I know that Jackson Arnold's going to be there for 2 years because
Exactly.
I know that he's not going to be able to
Exactly.
perform and put up these yards.
Exactly.
Because when you're willing to go to a team and sit behind, like he's going to go sit on the bench.
Sit down.
For at least a year. Because Sawyer Robinson gonna be there next year.
Right. So he's essentially saying, like, I know this is a 2-year plan because this dude ain't finna ball up. And just like you talked about the previous episode that y'all put up, those are Heisman numbers. Y'all was saying he's not. Walker White is saying that's not finna happen. He's betting that this not finna happen. And he's been in the room, so that tells me like that gives me a little bit of pause about it. For real.
Because the question that was asked after that, well, they asked about why he didn't give a parting message. The question that was asked next was why Baylor, and these are some of the highlights that I got from his answer. He said Baylor was top 3 out of high school. He said Coach Dave Aranda, Coach Spavada, Coach Holcomb. He loved his time with them. He said he stated he was fine with going to lower level schools if another Power 4 school didn't step in. He said he reaching out because he want to play. And he talked about Baylor's game against LSU. But this is the part. What you just said, Tez, this is what he said in his response. He said, Coach Spavada's offense is very QB friendly. It lets the athletes ball. That's basically what he said. He said he believes he could operate Baylor's offense very well. Those were his words. So basically, what you just said was what I was going to allude to, because he stated it right after that. He said it's a very QB-friendly offense.
Right.
It lets the athlete, and he believes that even if he does not be the guy this year, next year, he will be able to run Coach Spavada's offense at Baylor very, very well. What say you about that, even though you just said it?
That's essentially what I think. I think he feels like, not so much about Spavada. Well, I guess Spavada's offense is quarterback friendly, but like he just feels like Jackson Arnold's going to be there for 2 years, right? It's plain and simple.
He kept highlighting. He kept saying they paid him like a starter in 2 years, and he got 2 years.
Right.
Like, I was like, okay. It sounded like you said earlier, Ted. Like, I think it was a lie when he said he didn't want that competition. He knew that he wasn't gonna win that competition, and the way they paid him, Nick, I thought you probably would have alluded to it earlier, but the way they pay him at Auburn, the politics at Auburn gonna keep that man on the field. And I think Walker White also knows that as well. The way they pay him at Auburn is also gonna play a part in how much we see Jackson Arnold next year.
Yeah, you're not about to let allegedly, you're not about to allegedly let $1.8 million just sit on the sideline.
Right.
You spoke on that. You spoke on that previously.
Let's take a look at let's go ahead, Tess.
I was about to say, which is a completely different problem in college football now.
Yep.
Very true. Very true.
In the league where we already question whether the right guys are getting on the field. But now you have money as an incentive for playing time. It's crazy.
Agree. Huggy Beard, what's going on, my guy? Bubba, what's up, man? What's up, man? Appreciate that, Huggy, man. We appreciate you saying that, man. Bubba, what's happening? What's going on? What you looking like, Jimmy? What's going on? Huggy in the chat, man. Huggy, what up, Marcus? He's saying, what up? Hey, you Ted, what's going on? What's up? Bubba said, I'm not running for competition. Then he says, I left because they brought in Jackson Arnold. Man, hey man, Walker White, man. I'm a fan of Walker White. Ain't tripping on Walker. Laugh out loud. Hope he plays. I hope he does too, man.
I want to see him ball out.
I hate him.
Like Ted said, man. I think he knew he was gonna sit this year, and then after that, he's the guy. It's clear. He's the clear favorite to be the guy. in 2026.
But is he
Right.
though? Hold on, Nick. Before you go, is he though? The way
Yes.
the way the scene is now.
Yeah, he's the clear favorite.
But that's a great point though, Marcus,
The way the
because
scene is now, like
what
is
if
he though?
what if this Baylor team is a French playoff team?
Mm-hmm.
If this Baylor team is a French playoff team this year, going into next year, they want to get over that hump. There's no guarantee that they're not in the quarterback market.
But this is the thing, though.
He's facing that situation again.
But this is the difference, though. The only way I would look at that and say it's a Walker White problem is this coming up season, they're going to be able to see him every single week,
Right.
every single day this week in practice. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna get runs. I'm guessing he's gonna be the number 2 guy. I'm just looking at the depth chart. I think he's gonna be the number 2 guy. So they're gonna see him at least with the ones a couple of times, definitely with the twos. And if they feel that there's some type of liability there and they go in the portal next year looking for a quarterback, then everything that majority of the people are saying right now is very valid.
You know what though? I just feel like I'm not saying it's a Walker White problem. I don't think it's a Walker White problem. I think it's like I just don't think you want to transfer and be a backup. Like I think the way to get on the field nowadays in college football is to transfer to a place where you can play immediately. Because as long as you are on the bench with the transfer portal open, your job is never going to be guaranteed.
Exactly.
As a quarterback.
Exactly.
I feel.
You see what I'm saying? Like not so much as I don't want to make it seem like I'm just knocking Walker. Like I'm just saying.
It ain't no
like,
bass. It's just that's
you kind of have to play the. Yeah, you're gonna have to start playing the game now. Is what I see. Yeah, it's like you're gonna have to.
Which is what I think Walker White did. I think Walker White went to the best situation that he possibly could. Mm-hmm. He stated that Cal was a school that he was looking at as well. Cal's starting quarterback, just left this past season. He's now in Indiana. He'll be Indiana's quarterback next year.
So Nick, question. So you for that to happen in his NIL, it has to be guaranteed playing time. Do you agree or not?
I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know.
Because that's the only way it's guaranteed. Like that's to me, that's the only way it's guaranteed in the college atmosphere right now. Because if you ain't guaranteeing that playing time, like Ted said, they can go get another quarterback next year.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's what I was saying. I think you said he's playing the game. I think that's exactly what Walker White did. I think Walker White did exactly what, and I'm looking at this from a 360-degree view. I see it from what you're saying that if you hit in the transfer portal, you want to go somewhere where you're going to start immediately. Okay, that's fine. But what's the next best thing?
Yeah.
What's the next best thing that you can do? He can go right now, sit behind a guy that's going to be a 5th year at Baylor in Sawyer Robinson. Be like, all right, no pressure on me right now. Because even this season, if he was at Auburn and everything was a utopian, it would have been a learning year for him anyway as the starting quarterback. We was not going to expect much from him anyway. So if you look at it from that perspective, he goes and sits behind Sawyer Robinson. Sawyer Robinson goes out, balls out. He learns the system of Coach Spavital. Next year, he just steps in and he just balls out because like I say this, and I'm gonna say it again, unless he goes in this season and the coaching and the offensive coaching staff is like they like, hold up, maybe we need to look at this again. Unless they do that, everything everybody's saying right now is very valid. It's going to be very valid. But I don't think that's the problem. I think Walker White played the game because even with that being his redshirt year last year, if he sits this year, he comes back and start the following year, he'll still have 3 years of eligibility to play and put as much film out there as possible for the scouts. Who's to say he won't ball out in 2 and be gone? So I think he made the best choice for himself, and he's not in a rush to play. I think this. I think if Coach Freeze would have told him by year 3, if you're not the guy, he probably would have been like, okay, I just need 2 years to ball out anyway. That's the kind of guy that I think Walker White is anyway. I think he's just a baller. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think he's just a baller that's just gonna get out there on the field and do whatever it is to make it happen.
Yeah, I think he's a baller. I think he's gonna ball out. I think that he just,
Man, I just hope he don't turn to Joe Gatewood.
yeah. Well, I think he's just, like you said, to your point, Nick. He's playing the game, right? He's playing the game. Even the school you pick, for one, Baylor is not a place where quarterbacks are just knocking down the door to go to Baylor. So
exactly.
So what we're saying essentially, that's why I said, like, let's say they're a fringe playoff team. Like, they would have to be like a quarterback away for them to be in the market for a quarterback, in the portal for real. So like his chances of getting on the field next year are high. But what I'm saying is like he's just he definitely. I feel like here at Auburn, the reason why I say that the Deuce Knight thing was definitely a factor because, just like you said, if he wanted to wait those 2 years, I don't think he's so sure that even if Jackson Arnold would only had 1 year, stay here for 1 year, that he'd be the guy then too, right?
I get what you're saying.
Let's say Jackson Arnold goes to the NFL. He's not so sure that he's the guy then. Yeah. Right. Because you have a Deuce Knight. Yeah. So like it's just one of them situations, man. And when you recruiting in this climate and you recruiting top level quarterbacks like this, it's happening. It's happening all over the country. Yeah. Unfortunately, Walker White is just a quarterback that I like.
Me too.
Because he galvanized, he's kind of the one that got this whole recruiting buzz thing going. So I definitely want to see him be a part of this when it was. That's why I hate the season went like it did.
Exactly. But he was committed to Clemson, decommitted.
Yeah. I want him to be a part of this, of what's I feel like is going to happen next year. I feel like he should be on the roster. So it's unfortunate then, but hey, this is the climate we live in, man. And to your point, like, hey, Deuce is in the same sort of situation, man. Like, if there's another quarterback out there, there's a shiny new toy out there, and we can sign them, they're gonna definitely go after them. Like,
that's the thing, though. Which brings up the question that you just brought up another question in my mind. Like the recruit, like, should you be looking to sign a quarterback every recruiting class anyway? If you feel so strongly about a guy, why not ride with that guy? I know that is probably like the most ancient thing that people talk about because college football recruiting has changed a lot. The transfer portal, NIL has changed all of that. So you have to have somebody in the wings ready to go just in case. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like if you are an employer and you have that employee that you know for sure is going to do everything to make sure that the business is profitable, doing their job and a little bit more, you do a little extra for that person, or at least try to do a little extra for that person to show your appreciation, to let them know your hard work, what you're doing is not being overlooked. You came here, you proved yourself, or I brought you here, or I recruited you here because I believe in you. Kind of, I understand the nature of recruiting is going out getting the next best guys, but at the position of quarterback, though, I think it's a little different. Like, do you have to? I'm asking this question: do you believe that if you believe so strongly about a guy, that you have to get a quarterback in every class, or a quarterback of that caliber in every class? Because let's just be real, all quarterbacks are not the same.
Yeah, you got to get a quarterback in every class because every quarterback, high school quarterbacks don't always pan out. Like, you got to make sure you got a quarterback ready to go. You got to be able to develop quarterbacks. You got to be able to teach quarterbacks. But I got a question for y'all. before I forget. So and I want the chat to chime in too. Do we all think Jackson Arnold is a one and done?
Shout out to Hallbone. He didn't grow up with like Hallbone wrestling dogs. Shout out to Hallbone, boy. Shout out to him.
But do we think Jackson Arnold is a one and done?
I told you. If he has those type of numbers that are above what we think he will, if he's 3,900,
I want you to give me a confident answer though.
That's my answer. That's how confident I am. I'm telling you, if he has those numbers, then yes, I think he's gone. I think he's one and done. I think he is. I mean, if he's sitting out here, if he throws for 3,900 yards, 35 plus touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, and he's 66% completion next year. I mean, Shador threw for what? 4,200 yards this past season. I think Shador had like a 60-some% completion percentage as well, and he about to be what, a top 5 pick? Come on, man. And then the quarterback market is not like there are many. Like if you looking at the quarterback market for the 2026 class, who's out there? Who's going to be that guy? Who's the standard bearer? Carson Beck. he just committed to Miami. Who's after Carson Beck? Quinn Ewers, if he decides to come back. Do you think Jackson Arnold is better than Quinn Ewers?
No.
That's my point. If he goes out here and balls this year and he puts those numbers up, who's to say who's to say he won't be a top 5, top 10 pick in the NFL draft? Who's to say who's to say one of those 32 teams would be like, that's why he was a 5-star plus guy. We want him.
I think he's one and done. And but I don't think it's for those reasons. I think he's one and done because Hugh Freeze will see Deuce Knight on the field.
So he's going to hit his way. He's hitching his wagon. He's hitching his wagon to Deuce Knight, the future.
This is the best quarterback that he's ever had out of high school. Ever. Deuce Knight will play for Auburn under Hugh Freeze. If the season goes bad, Deuce Knight will play for Auburn under Hugh Freeze. If the season goes good, Jackson Arnold will go to the NFL, and next year Deuce Knight will play for Hugh Freeze. Yeah, like he's gonna play this kid. You know, like it's gonna happen. He's not gonna recruit this kid and never see him take the field. Deuce Knight will play for Hugh Freeze. And for that reason, I think that Jackson Arnold is one and done.
Really?
I said
yes.
I said that before.
Wow.
This is what I was saying. I think the only way he's one and done is if he gets us to the playoffs, and we have to be competitive in the playoffs. Meaning he has to have an outstanding season.
I feel where you're coming from with that. I wholeheartedly do. But when it gets to the draft, numbers matter. and if he's doing that, then his numbers are showing. Yeah. Then his numbers are 3,900 yards. That's what we're seeing. He has 35 plus. He has 35 plus touchdowns. If that's the case, then yeah, he gone after 1 year. You saw Cam did it, and Cam only had like 2,800 yards passing and almost 1,500 yards rushing. He was the number 1 overall pick. Now that was a different time. Let's be honest, a different time, different type of offenses.
Yeah.
But if he comes out and do that, yeah, I think he gone. So to answer your question, yes, but it's contingent upon how those numbers look. I'm just saying.
Cam won a national championship too, though, Nick.
So we saying 9 wins, right? I'm saying that if we land at about 6 or 7 wins, we will see Deuce Knight.
Exactly. You can't win a win
this year.
I'm sorry. Something just popped up on my feed. I'm trying to get confirmation on it real quick. So I need to make sure.
Yeah, Ted, go ahead. Speak your truth, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
No, I was just saying that, like, if we land at about 6 or 7 games this year, like barely making a bowl game, we see Deuce Knight. I think this is a situation where if we barely make a bowl game, even if it's just in the bowl game, like he's gonna start under Hugh Freeze this year in the mediocre season. Now, if we up there in the 9 wins where we all kind of expect, we might not see him this year, but if we win 9 games, I expect Jackson Arnold to have one hell of a season and him to go to the NFL anyway. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I believe he's one and done. Because if he doesn't perform, they're gonna put that freshman out there. It's not gonna be a Peyton Thorne situation where you have a mediocre season and then we're gonna put you right back out there and have another mediocre season. No, that's not gonna happen again.
So Tez, if you think, all right, through the first 5 games, if Jackson Arnold is 2-3, do we see Deuce Knight?
If Jackson Arnold is 2-3, so I assume you mean lost to Baylor and then
2 wins
Texas
against
A&M
and Oklahoma. So basically saying he only got 2 wins against Ball State and South Alabama is what you're saying.
Probably so.
This question, like I see what you're saying, Jay Flowers, but let's just be real. To win a ring now is a lot harder than what it was back then.
Very true.
It's a playoff. So I mean, the thing about it is, if his numbers are up and if he makes the playoffs, and let's just say he gets past if Auburn.
Oh, you said it's harder now to win a ring?
Yeah, it's harder to win the national championship now.
Versus BCS?
Yes.
Bro, how difficult it was to get a ring in the BCS? You couldn't lose a game. In the BCS?
You know what? There's 2 sides to this argument, and I see both ways. Like I see both ways.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But the thing about it is there's more games.
Yeah, but you can be 9-3 and have an opportunity to win.
You have an opportunity to win.
Whereas with the BCS, you can go undefeated and not get a chance.
Exactly.
Auburn. I mean, 2004 Auburn. Let's just be real.
Yeah,
you dealing with computers at that time. You dealing with computers.
But then at the same time, the path to winning is a lot more difficult now. Like you have to play more games. Yeah. I get both ways.
It's just fact.
That's weird. I never really thought about that.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm not trusting a computer with that. I mean, come on.
So when we talking about Cam, who are we? Cam, none of these kids is Cam yet, right? Like we're not comparing Cam to none of these kids, are we?
Hell no. I mean, I'm not. I'm sorry.
No, not comparing him to Cam. I mean, because you got to look at wait. Let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So are you saying, are we comparing? Like, okay, hold up.
I just saw in the chat that Cam won a ring. We were saying that. I was trying to figure out what were we talking about.
No.
We were talking about numbers. We were talking about numbers and championships. I said Jackson Arnold has to get us close to a national championship for me to think he's a one and done.
And I disagree. I disagree with
that.
I just said the numbers have to be there, and if the numbers are there, then the scouts are gonna be like, all right, we see the production. Let's see exactly what he can. Like we see.
Hey, I hope he's one and done. I hope he goes to the NFL next year. Because if he goes to the NFL next year, then it means we had a pretty good damn season.
If he goes to the NFL next year, Auburn probably made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Yep, exactly. That's the success I think he has to have.
Yeah.
That's my whole point, Nick. You made my whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing though. If he has those numbers, let me make this clear. If Jackson Arnold has 32 to 3,400 yards and everything that I stated earlier, 28 touchdowns, 7 to 10 interceptions, 64% completion, I think he's 9 wins. If Jackson Arnold is at 3,800 yards, 3,900 yards, that's probably a 10-11 win season for Auburn. Those 400 extra yards mean a lot because that means he's probably averaging 220 yards a game passing the ball.
So that's assuming our defense hold up though.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's gonna be a problem with the defense hold up.
I don't either, but I'm just saying that's just an assumption. Because you can have numbers in your defense don't win you them games.
But the thing is like, so I do think that Jackson Arnold has to have a good year. But what's crazy about it is like I feel like he doesn't have to have. He can put up the numbers that Peyton Thorne put up last year, and we can win 9 games.
Exactly, because it almost happened this year.
Like he doesn't necessarily have to be 3,500 yards for us to have a successful season. He can throw for about 27, 26, low turnovers, high touchdowns with what he's going to bring on the ground. I feel like he can put up those kind of numbers in the passing game, and we can win 9 games.
True. I believe that.
With what I expect the defense to play like this year, coming back with those freshmen coming back for a second year, more season, more experience, and then adding what we add in the portal. Like he doesn't. I feel like if he goes out and he just had to let it come to him. If he goes out and try to chase big yards like that, that's when he's gonna get in trouble. I feel like if he let it come to him, have an efficient year, man, we can win. We can win now. Now, if he goes out there and throws for like 3,500 yards, we talking about we're in the Final Four of this thing.
3,500 in the Final Four? I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think if he goes out and throws for 3,500 yards in the first 12 games of the season, which is the regular season, if he goes out and does that, I think Auburn's in the SEC championship game. I think Auburn's definitely there. With the opportunity to get the first round bye, depending on who they have to play. I don't know if I mean, I have him at 34. I got him somewhere between 33 and 3,400 yards in the regular season. Is where I got him this year. And the reason why I have that is because I just look at what happened last year. If Peyton Thorne would have played the game and a half that he missed, Peyton Thorne would have been 3,084 yards based on his averages. So we would have been right at 3,100 yards. We're sitting here saying that Jackson Arnold is a better talent, more accurate with the football, has better touch, and he throws a better deep ball that's a lot more accurate than what Peyton Thorne was throwing, which is what Hugh Freeze wants to do anyway. He wants to throw this thing down the field. He wants to open it up. So I'm sitting here saying, if that's the case, 3,400 yards should not be out the question. If you did almost 3,100 with a guy, if he would have played the whole year, 3,400 yards shouldn't be out of the question for Jackson Arnold.
I say with Jackson Arnold, I say probably 31 to 32, but I think he's gonna have like at least 600 to 700 rushing yards. I think he's gonna do it a lot on the ground as well.
Right. I mean, it all depends on the attempts too. Like we're assuming that the attempts gonna go up, right?
Yeah, I mean because in Peyton Thorne's first year in 2023, his attempts were 265, and last season his attempts were 317. So I mean, let's just be real. You look at the correlation between what Coach Hugh Freeze was saying in his first year. We didn't have any receivers. Okay, you go out and recruit the Freeze 4. You go out here and we have this assumption that you have these guys who are better receivers, and then you add Keandre Lambert-Smith, and you go up by almost 50 attempts a season. So what's to tell me he won't go up by another 20 this year? So what's to tell me attempts won't be almost at 340 this year?
Is the Auburn fan base prepared for 40 attempts a game?
That's the question.
Man,
that's the question.
This is what we're talking about.
That's the question. That's the real question.
These quarterbacks that put up the numbers that we talking about, they throw the ball 40 times a game.
Exactly. Yeah. Not to mention.
Are we ready for that?
You correlate what Coach Hugh Freeze was saying in year 1. You look at year 2, you get a Cam Coleman, a Keandre Lambert-Smith, and a Malcolm Simmons. It goes from 265 to 317. Then this offseason, you just went out and got the number 1 receiver in the portal to go along with Horatio Fields. So what's to tell me that them attempts not going to go up another 20, 25 attempts? What's to tell me that that passing the ball this year?
We ain't the ball at all, bro.
Which with the great Bo Jackson statue sitting right there. Are we ready as a fan base to pass the ball 40 times a game?
I'm not.
If
It results in wins, then yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be a lot of why didn't he run the ball?
Yep.
I'm telling you.
That's what I'm not looking forward to next year.
It might be a slick shirt. Y'all might be having y'all slick shirt on me next year. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
bro, I'm not looking forward to. Man, he should have ran the ball in that situation. Oh my God, it was.
Here's what's gonna happen though. You're gonna have that trade off.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that trade off. The law averages tell us that in certain situations, something's bad gonna happen.
That's true.
But in certain situations, it's gonna work out in our favor. So it's gonna average out. So half of the time we're gonna be like, man, why he just ain't get a ball? Why he just ain't run the ball? Then the other half of the time we're gonna be like, man, that was an amazing play. Like it's going to happen. Like, get ready, everybody. Like this, what we know Auburn football to be is about to change.
Yeah, I think one thing is for certain nation. Cam Coleman gonna have a big season.
I think that's true.
I think if he don't get hurt, Cam Coleman will have a big season.
I think that's true. I think him. I think him and Eric Singleton especially primed to have big years next year.
I'm telling you, man.
I would love to add Perry as a part of that, but that depends on Perry.
Agree. I agree with you though.
Do you think he sees the field next year?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Perry?
Nah. Yeah. Yeah, he gonna play.
I wouldn't be surprised, man, if you see him in that like H-back role a little bit next year.
I'd be kind of upset if I saw that.
Well, I mean, who else would you got Brandon Frazier there, but down the field, he's no Perry Thompson. Depends on what you're trying to accomplish on offense.
What if you start putting Perry Thompson in the slot? What if we could put him in the slot against smaller guys?
Yeah.
Fresh Bowl. You said Freeze got to stay balanced 60-40 pass. Cool. Last year, based on the number of total yards. Based on the number of total yards last year, Auburn was 61 to 39% to the pass. So 61% pass, 39% run last year. That's what Auburn was. And they were ranked 42nd in total yards for the in offense in total yards. So I think it's just gonna go up. I think the numbers is about to go up even more, to be honest with you.
Man, I was about to ask. There's something else that Walker White said in that interview I want to get y'all opinion on real quick.
Go ahead.
He said he made a couple comments. He said
before you say that, hold on to that thought. That is true right there. I can't wait to see. I think that's the reason why you're gonna see a lot of slot fades in the end zone this year, because you got a lot of big receivers: Cam Coleman, Horatio Fields, Perry Thompson. And Bubba comes in and said, "Why we put Perry in the slot when Malcolm has cemented himself there?" I'm just throwing something out there. Not saying he would, but just to get him on the field.
Yeah.
You gotta get him on the field sometime, boy. You got a lot of talent. So
that's the reason why I asked the question. I'm like, are we gonna see him next year? Because you got a lot of talent.
I was about to say that's why I said H-back too.
This is an interesting topic. Changing the wide receiver to H-back in college football 25 is a cheat code. Very true, especially when he's 6'4", 225 pounds. That's interesting. Perry needs to be a hybrid tight end.
Yeah, that's what I meant by H-back, not like
so basically like an OJ Howard type guy, or I get what you're saying, or like a who's the other guy? Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce is one. Yeah,
now, Travis Kelce is more of a tight end, but he can split out.
He's a better blocker.
Yeah,
than the guys we talking about. But I think they want to go fast though, right? I think they want to go tempo, and you got to have versatile players there. And like I feel like if you go tempo, if you can put a Perry Thompson right there at that hybrid tight end spot, then you can essentially go 4 wide.
Yeah, which is what Bubba just said.
Yeah. Oh,
but here's the thing though. Here's the thing. If you go 4 wide, who would be those guys? I'm pretty sure it's going to be Cam Coleman. You're
Right.
looking at Eric Singleton,
Aaron Sanders.
Malcolm Simmons.
Yep.
Do you go Horatio Fields or do you go Perry Thompson?
Whichever one is
Yeah.
better.
Got the high hand that day.
Who put them there and see who won it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel what you're saying. All right, my bad, Tez. Go ahead. What you was about to say before we look at those comments there.
Oh, no. So he said, when I agree with, he said it's easier for kids to leave schools when the schools focuses on the portal.
Man, Ted, I got it written right here. He said easier to leave a school like Auburn that is heavier on the portal, unlike schools like Clemson that build up their players into the players they recruited them for. Those are his words.
Yeah. I want
How
to
y'all
know
feel
what
about
you
that
guys thought
statement?
about that.
How
He
y'all
said
feel
like
about
he did specifically say like Auburn.
He did. He said like Auburn, and then he said
Yeah.
Clemson as well. He said schools like Clemson. So
Well, we all know about Dabo's love of the portal. Like he can't stay in the portal. Like we all know
Right.
Dabo don't fool with the portal. So
well,
that's
he
what he kind of,
messed with it this past season. He definitely
because
did.
that's where college football is going. Like if Dabo wants to survive, you got to follow the trend. And he's realizing that this year. But we all know he has been vocal about how he hates the transfer. So and how things are going with it. So that's what I think Walker White was alluding to, because Dabo is going to recruit these freshmen and bringing them up in the system versus a Hugh Freeze, who, like Nick alluded to earlier in the show, he has to win now. So him going to get, and he loves experience. So most transfer portal pieces right now are really experienced. You got starting quarterbacks leaving their starting jobs to go to a different school just because the NIL is better. So this is for Auburn right now with our coach. He's in love with the transfer portal because it gives him all the experience that he wants at every position that he needs it at.
Mhm.
So it's just like it's just two different philosophies. That's all I guess that's how he was alluding to.
Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's necessarily how can I say this? Look who's playing right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the objective? Are we trying to win here? Or are we trying to appease high school kids? Because the teams, the teams that are playing, you know, like right now, you got Isaiah Bunn, transfer portal kid, Caleb Downs on the field, transfer portal kid, like
Quinn Ewers, transfer portal kid.
Quinn Ewers, like so
Will Howard, transfer portal kid.
So what is the objective here, right? And then we look at Clemson. Yeah, they won the ACC, but that's as far as that went. And who else? What other team did he name? Clemson and
it was Clemson and another.
I forgot what other school he used in this example.
I just remember he clearly said Clemson. I clearly remember him saying. I can't remember the other team.
And then when you got a school that like Auburn, who we want to compete for national championships,
now
I urge everybody to, and this may be tough for some of us Auburn faithful to digest, but I urge everybody to go look at the composite rankings for talent in the country, 4 and 5 star players.
Blue chip ratio. I'm just I don't do that.
Well, that too. But just go look at it, and I want you to look at where we fall amongst our 85 and how it's measured up amongst 3 stars, 4 stars, and then compare that to the schools at the top that perennially compete for championships. And when you see that, you see why Hugh Freeze, when he says he wants to compete for championships, you see why he is aggressive in the portal. You see why he has to let a Jackson Arnold walk. You know what I mean? Because the schools that he's trying to compete with, not Jackson Arnold, but Walker White walk. But the schools that he's trying to compete with, like, they are head and shoulders above us in terms of talent. We feel like we're talented because it's the most talented we ever had. But when you look at those schools, just go check it out. and you'll see how big the gap is and where we're trying to get to, and you'll kind of understand why he makes some of the decisions that he makes and why we can't. If we lose good players, we're just going to have to lose good players if it means we're going to get more good players in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that's the facts.
What would help is seeing it on the field now.
That's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem. You know, that's the problem. Like I don't disagree with anything like that. If I mean, I know I made the statement earlier about, but I was more pertaining to just the quarterback position. When I said, why do you need to go out and potentially get a quarterback every cycle? That's what I was talking about. But if you're gonna go out and get a guy who's better than the guy that you have on the roster, the NFL does it all the time. The NFL is always trying to get better. Kobe Bryant even said it. Kobe Bryant said after he won the championship, he said, I can't do the same thing I did this past season next year.
Facts.
He said that. That's what Kobe Bryant said, who's one of the top 3 players of all time. Some people may say top 5. I think I got him in the top 3. But this is the thing is, like you're always trying to go out and get the next best thing. I just feel that when it comes to the quarterback position, you got to have some kind of stability there. You got to have some stability there. It's like the foundation of the offense almost.
Right. Especially when you're an offensive guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. You don't want to keep rotating guys in. Because as much as we talk about Lane Kiffin, look at Lane Kiffin. Let's look at the quarterbacks Lane Kiffin has had at Ole Miss since he's been at Ole Miss.
Right.
Who are the 2 guys that we can name off top of the head right now that Lane Kiffin has had? And how long has Lane Kiffin been at Ole Miss? This is what, going on year 5?
But Lane Kiffin, he's getting quarterbacks with intents on playing them though.
Exactly.
Like he's
Matt
getting
Corral
the guy
and Jackson Dart. Those are the 2 guys that we know for sure, and he's stuck with them.
Right.
But
yeah, they played 2+ years though. I mean, 1+ year.
But he's signing it with the intent on playing. We're hoping that Hugh Freeze is doing that with Jackson Arnold. Like, hey, this is my guy. I'm gonna do, ride this out with him, and then Deuce Knight comes in behind him and he does the same thing. But the reality of it is, if it doesn't go like we all wanted to go, he may be in the portal again looking for that guy.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. And a lot of that comes with the pressure of, for one, being the head coach at Auburn. Right. And second, the NIL transfer portal era.
True.
Third, the college football playoff era of trying to be in the contention every year. And fourth, Auburn fans.
Real.
Just being honest. But
do you want to be Miami? Is that what you want to be as a program? I mean, seriously.
You got a point. This would be their 3rd quarterback in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Unless you Lincoln Riley and you get the next guy every time. We don't want that. You don't want it. You want to have some type of stability at that position, at least for 2, maybe 3 years. If you get 2 years out of a guy, great. If you get 3 years out of a guy, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I just look at it different. I don't know.
Well, for one thing, these kids are getting better and better at a much faster rate than they were. like the next quarterbacks by 2027, 2028, man, it's gonna be so like kids gonna be 6'5", 270. Like it's gonna be crazy. Like
going with both arms.
It's gonna be all kind of stuff, man.
There's a guy that is ambidextrous right now. I cannot remember his name, but he can throw the ball. He's accurate with his right and his left arm.
Now what if your quarterback room is full, but he is a 5-star prospect and he wants to come to your school?
I gotta go get him. I have to. Because do you not understand the type of how much flexibility that gives you? Now the problem with that is you're gonna have to have 2 great tackles. You have to have a great right tackle and a great left tackle because you don't know which blind side he's gonna use in the game. He might decide in the middle of the play to go from his right to his left hand. Like it brings up other type of concerns. But man, you gotta go out and get a guy like that. Like you remember, you remember when like Mike Vick first came on the scene? Everybody was like, I gotta get a guy like that. Like they had to go get a guy like that.
Man. Like, well, I guess in terms of just like flips, like like plays like you see, like the plays that you see Patrick Mahomes make, like when he flipped the ball left-handed, stuff like that. But what I've learned is like when you have something that involves emotion, like a throwing motion, it's always going to be one side that's better than the other. The other is just going to be like, just to say that you can do. I've seen, the reason I say I've seen, like my daughter used to play fast pitch softball, and there was a girl who pitched with both. She was ambidextrous. One side, she was on the team. One side, her right arm was consistent. Like you can tell that she was naturally a righty. The left arm, while more consistent than the other kids, and impressive that she could do it, it wasn't that consistent.
I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Like it was, it started off cool. You thought it was going to be a weapon, but then it just kind of became a party trick.
Sideshow.
Yeah, this is like, put the ball in your right hand and throw strikes.
Just do what's best to help the team. Let's not do this other stuff.
That's gonna be another thing. Like you gotta think about how fans are. They letting them throw left-handed. Man, we'll
do that. We'll do that if we up by 21 points. We'll do
right.
So, man, the verdict on the Walker White interview. You all thought it was I thought he was lying.
I thought it was interesting. I thought the things other than what he said about Auburn actually were cool. Like how he thought that it's easier for kids to focus on the portal when the schools focus on the portal. He also said that he never talked to a coach about money. Yeah, he always talked to his agent. And I wonder, is that the landscape was going? Because we're not in the locker rooms. Are kids having talks with coaches directly, like at a high rate, or how often is it going through an agent? How is that working?
That is an interesting conversation. I actually believe him on that. I don't think players are actually talking directly to coaches. I think it's really now. I think there are so many people who are considered agents now that represent these guys. I think all of that is going through agents. I think when we hear stuff, when you hear some type of chatter coming around, I think you literally hear it and it's an agent saying something. I think I wholeheartedly believe. I don't think it's a kid or his family saying something unless his family is representing him. But I think all the stuff we hear now from agents.
Because he said, he was like, soon as I entered the portal, then my agent told me that Baylor was interested.
Basically, he did.
I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that's how it works for real.
Interesting, man.
Because we think of it as like Hugh Freeze going in the living room saying, like, I got 1.5 mil for you.
You know what I'm saying?
But baby, it don't work like that though.
He giving it to him in brown paper bags.
Right.
Let me stop. Let me leave it alone. Shout out to Coach Hugh Freeze. Fellas, this was a great show, man. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat with us, man. Tez.
What's happening, man?
Where can they find you at, my guy?
Man, in the same spot. It's over there. Photo imagery. Photoimagery.com too. You can catch me on the Sharpshooters podcast every Tuesday, 7. Or bounce it around podcast to podcast. You may find me here on Water Cooler. You may find me on Coach Sean's podcast. You never know, man.
Shout out to Coach
Sean.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. News. I don't know if everybody saw it, but got approved for the Senior Bowl. So we'll be on the sidelines for the Senior Bowl, man, coming up
That's what's up, man.
this month, man. So this is gonna be fun, man. Trying to get as much content as we can that week. And thank God for that, man. We appreciate God for giving us that opportunity to do this. And be there, man. So this is gonna be dope, man.
Congratulations, man.
Auburn Addicts and Water Cooler Talk will be there. So it'll be work. It'll be dope. So it is what it is, man. So yeah, man, we'll see you on the sidelines at the Senior Bowl, man. Marcus, what you got to say to people before we get up out of here, boss?
Man, y'all have a safe week, man. When the week over with, y'all have a safe weekend. Turn up and be blessed.
Yes, sir. As always, man, I'll be back. When I'll be back? Sunday. We'll be back Sunday here and on Auburn Addicts channel. For Have You Heard Auburn News Today on Sunday at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. We'll be there talking some Auburn sports. I think we have a special guest coming on. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but we'll be there. 6 Eastern, 5 Central. Me and DC Wolf will be there. And then, of course, starting Monday of next week, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of every week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, man. So we'll see you, man. And if all hearts and minds are clear, y'all good?
Yep.
Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Water Cooler Talk. Follow us on Facebook at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast on Facebook. On Twitter, follow us at CoolersPod23. And of course, here on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share the video and hit the notification bell so you know when we post more videos and go live, ladies and gentlemen. And we appreciate y'all so much. And as always, man, I'm always appreciative. We'll never not be appreciative because you all give us an opportunity to come around. Y'all give us an opportunity to sit down and talk what we love, Auburn sports and SEC news. And we thank y'all so much because y'all come around and make the you come around and chill with us, man. And you don't, it's not forced, but we thank y'all so much for coming around, and y'all make the decision and come, and we thank you, man. So we appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be back Sunday for Have You Heard? And then we'll see you again next week if the Lord's willing. If all hearts and minds are clear, ladies and gentlemen, man, y'all have a good one. Better yet, y'all have a great one. Most of all, y'all be blessed, man. Be blessed. We love you. Until next time, one love. And we out this mug. Holla!
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell so you know when we post more videos and go live.